Well, let's intro our players here. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side in the red, representing the US of A. It is the Can Man, MCanning.
In the top right, as the blue Protoss for Exxon, she is Nina.
That Team Exxon uniform is poppin' fresh. How good does that look? That's a dope-ass jersey.
It's actually pretty cool. I mean, obviously red and black is just like a good color scheme, but
Oh, yeah.
I like the effects on it.
Definitely. Oh, that's cool. Team Exxon, of course, making some big moves in the last couple months, picking up a number of notable players. It's not just Nina, but they sponsored Special for a while, the Spanish Zerg players Solier, Max Pax, Geralt, tons of really big names getting picked up recently by Exxon, who until recently was I always thought it was a bit more of an amateur team.
Yeah, I mean, that's some might say that is harsh to say, but I think it's just like we're saying amateur in kind of more of a technical way, not like a PM way.
Sure.
Yeah, we think of the big names. People are coming in with like a ton of money. You're talking about maybe like Razor Edge, right? But
Right.
Exxon not as much, but they've really picked up some key players. I think they're going to be very happy with their Geralt pickup thanks to this season.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I guess Nina has pretty much performed basically up to expectations as a just a standard in the NA scene. Obviously, it's still a very good run for her as well, so they should be pretty happy with their player pickups.
I always feel like there should definitely be at some point in the ESL season, like a fantasy football style player draft where we pick up different players from different teams and stuff and see how they perform. It would be a nightmare to figure out, but I think it'd be tons of fun because Team Exxon would definitely be winning that so hard this season. Super cool from them. Slightly different builds here from both of our players. Looks like we got double Stalker out for Nina, whereas MCanning starting out with those Adepts. And I'll be honest, Zombie Grub, that triple spray from MCanning, that's what does that tell you about his mindset here in this matchup?
It tells me that he does that every single game.
Right.
He likes his tag meta, I guess. This time Nina not countering the tag meta. She is going for some soccer openers and actually going to apply some pressure. So this can get really awkward, right? Like MCanning's been a big fan of the like just not mass adepts, but like 8 adept opener. That's I don't know. I feel like it does have weaknesses. I feel like sometimes I've watched MCanning's PvP and I'm like, well, you could have been in a good position, but you opened up with this adept opener and it like didn't really find what you wanted. So. Oh, wow, she's actually proxying a Stargate after 4 Soccers. That's pretty unusual. I thought she was going to use that to warp in more Soccers and pressure the depths. So, okay, this is interesting in a different way now.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, ZG. It's very surprising to see somebody build those gas-heavy Stalkers, and oh my god, is MCanning gonna miss it? He's rerouted the probe. There it is, thank goodness. And he will spot this huge boon now for MCanning. ZG, how does he have to respond to make sure this doesn't catch him by surprise?
There's a shield battery in the main. I mean, it was already being produced anyways, just out of safety, because he didn't know what Nina was doing. Actually, I don't think MCanning even saw that there were Stalkers being produced. So, like, yeah. Better safe than sorry, and in this case, it's totally accurate. So MCanning can now just slap a shield battery in each base and still move out with his Adepts. I think it gets a little more awkward when we're talking about Adept attack, Adept defense versus Stalker aggression. It just gets very awkward. Who has a better micro? Does the Adept player actually go across the map? But just an Oracle? That's not scary yet. 2 Oracles become scary. Not scary yet. Adepts are going to try and bust through the main, but Nina does still have 6 Stalkers. Like, that is not the fastest Stargate, because she did afford some expensive units.
Right. Both these players, I feel like playing initially a little bit aggressive there with so many units out on the map. Nina's going to get in and scout around with that Oracle. Oracle number 2 is on the way. Remember, guys, 2 Oracles can basically one-shot a probe. So the shield batteries will be negated in both the main and the natural there once the second Oracle's out. I'm a little surprised to see MCanning not really warping in much else. He's got those other 2 Stalkers, but he seems to be focusing everything right now on these Adepts, and now a Twilight Council behind it.
He should warp in at least 1 Stalker, yeah, to help out against the inevitable double Oracle. So there it is. But even more is really necessary, to be honest. The Adepts, I think, are awfully tempted to do something, but the honest truth is that they really can't do anything right now. So they're just going to keep on trying to distract Nina. Good defense in that natural. Only 2 probes go down, an injured Oracle. Nina's already on her way to blink, but MCanning won't be that far behind.
No, he definitely won't. There it is, starting up right away. Great defense there by Nina, preventing the Oracle from getting, or pardon me, preventing the Adepts from getting into the main base here. But now those Oracles are back home. They'll be able to slowly pick down the Adepts, and Nina should be in a pretty good spot defensively. Now, who do you think this favors? Since they're both getting Blink at about the same time, is MCanning's infrastructure that much better than Nina's right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting a Robo and a Forge, but that's just because he's deciding to go into a macro game and Nina's going for a bit more, maybe a little bit feistier. She's actually going to pressure her opponent. I think that is the right call. Her Stalker numbers are going to be greater than MCanning because MCanning went for a bunch of Adepts. And while those Adepts could maybe, in a very ideal world, get like 8+ probes later on, it will be later on. So right now, they're kind of dead weight. So I would actually really love for Nina to take advantage of her Stalker count, go across the map, and get some victories on that third Nexus timing, whereas MCanning might get some victories maybe on more of like a Robotics Bay timing because his Robo's faster.
That's a really good point you bring up a little bit earlier there, CG, is that one resource that we don't often think about in StarCraft 2 is not army supply, but like, is that army supply in use all the time? If you build 8 Adepts at the very beginning of the game and they don't do anything, that's actually actively hurting you in the game because, of course, that's, you know, a number of probes you could have made or a third base that could be down or something. So one thing that both these players have failed to really do is get anything done with their initial unit warp-ins, and I'm a little surprised to see such passivity on both sides. I guess they're just both worried about the defense.
Well, Nina not going to use it for Stalkers for advantage. That's, I think it should still happen. She has so many more. But MCanning, also adding in a couple of Immortals, is getting faster. Robotics Bay currently has a slightly faster third Nexus, but I really don't think that should stick around. I feel like Nina can cancel that, but she's really headed towards that direction. Clearing up the Adepts before they clear up the pylon powering the Stargate.
Nice.
The Oracles are going to provide some nice vision as the game goes on, which is actually really, really good, as well as a couple of stasis traps, which looks like she's trying to bait MCanning's army into.
That could be a huge blunder from MCanning here if he steps into those stasis traps. I love the hallucinated Immortal here, but Nina not going to get fooled. Focusing, firing down the main Immortal. Their first Immortal goes down immediately, and now MCanning's army's actually lost a lot of its bulk. It's a much less chunky army than it was before.
Yeah, very. That's the scary part for MCanning. This is something I've been like alluding to. Like, Nina's gonna have more Stalkers. She's gonna have more Stalkers. Now it's finally coming to fruition. She's gonna lift up in the main base as well, blink up into the main base, and that's only one Immortal again, and that could easily be target fire down. Nina's about to have her own +1 as well. She is gonna target fire the Immortal down as MCanning blinks aggressively on top of her Stalkers to at least take the best trade possible. But Nina still keeps that army supply lead.
Yeah, the army supply lead, and most importantly, that has removed all of the bulk from MCanning's army. There's no splash damage now. There are a few Adepts, but not enough Stalkers here. We see +2 already getting started for MCanning, so he may have an upgrade advantage if Nina doesn't move in soon, and the Dark Shrine from MCanning. Now, this could be a sneaky way for him to come back in this game just a little bit, but still, the third base down, I'm surprised that Nina hasn't rotated around and tried to pressure that third base at all.
Yeah, I think that might actually be the biggest missed opportunity. Like, it's great that she's taking some good engagements, but the end result is still MCanning having the third Nexus, where I feel like maybe that should have been canceled, and being faster to Disruptors, and also having charge, like when he wants to include some Zealots. So, like, MCanning got away with a lot more than they thought he would, and Nina just took a couple of army trades, which, you know, taking out the Immortals as we move on to Disruptors, maybe not that important. But, I don't know, we'll see. Nina does have her own base and a slightly bigger economy with more probes, and she's moving on to her own Disruptors. No second Robo quite yet, but I do think one will come down.
Yeah, they're, as you say it, speak and make it such. The Oracle's popping back up into the main base here. Again, only one Stalker here, so these Oracles actually have a chance to get some real damage done. But Nina did not want to lose that Oracle. That's always a rough start. Nice stasis trap, finally grabbing MCanning there. And Nina's been trying to bait him into those stasis traps for the entire game. And I think that's the very first one that's actually worked here, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, but it doesn't really open up any opportunities, right?
No.
Nina wasn't in a position to abuse that, and so it's just, yeah, it is what it is. Nina still has a little bit of scouting, I guess, from the stasis trap, as well as some units elsewhere, but both are going to go back and build up their Disruptor count, and this is the PvP that we kind of wanted.
It definitely is. We talked about it before the series. You know, if this goes to the late game, both these players very adept, no pun intended, at the late game here. And they both have really real opportunities to force errors out of their opponent. I think that's what it's going to come down to here. Who can force the first error out of their opponent and really capitalize on a big swing in army composition. Second robo now coming down for MCanning, but Nina's been doing double disruptor at a time now for quite some time, or she's starting double disruptor now. So even though MCanning's slightly ahead on the disruptor lead, that's going to disappear, I think, by the time these armies might finally engage.
It might just even up, right? I do like that the Stargate's being depowered. I think that could be something useful later on. Once Nina loses her oracles, she actually might want to replace them to constantly have tags on the army. Good blink forward there to trap Nina's reinforcing stalkers. Take a victory there. Both their +2 upgrades are finishing up, and you don't really usually take direct engagements when you get into the disruptor phases. Just a little too scary to blink aggressively even when you think you're going to win. Could be a disruptor hiding somewhere. But that's the situation we're getting into. Kind of just who's going to have the better control of the disruptors. Nina proved she has excellent control over this phase of PvP against Neeb. That was one of the closest games of that best of 5 series. And MCanning is just known for this phase of PvP.
I was liken Blink Stalker Disruptor into playing chicken, basically. You're trying to stay on top of your opponent for as long as you can without blinking away, because as soon as you blink away, you're ceding all of that mobility you've got. And as soon as you blink, the disruptor balls are coming out at you. Those purification novas coming very quickly. So Nina's got to be, both players have got to be very cautious as they judiciously use those blinks when they're in the final fight. Upgrade's going to be slightly in favor in MCanning, but there's going to be a very narrow window for Nina, for MCanning to make use of that +3 upgrade advantage. And I think, man, it's all going to come down to this last fight. I don't know what else we can say, Zombie Grub, until that happens.
You're kind of playing the waiting game right now. I like MCanning set up a bit better with the faster Dark Shrine, as well as already moving on to the Shadow Stride, but I mean, Nina's going to eventually get there as well. So we're just waiting for that one decisive move out. Who thinks that they are better positioned or better at the actual engagement and starts to actually move forward? But whoever does is taking a risk because they're moving aggressively into a defensive setup Protoss player with disruptors, as well as opening up opportunities for those humongous backstabs that we generally see the later PvP goes, the 16 DTs and 5 zealots killing.
Oh, sure. Oh, those are great. Those are so good. MCanning's going to spot this army. That'll allow him to rotate up, and also he's got one disruptor here to try and drive it back, but the counter disruptor from Nina going to come on in here. Purification Novas trading each other. So far, no big losses, but it looks like these players are starting to angle up for a pretty big fight here, ZG.
Yeah, looks like it. Single Immortal is probably going to get wrecked out this engagement. Provide some value, I guess, if there is a big old blink on top of this army. It's just too many disruptors, I think, for either one to really break into. MCanning's going to try and come from behind, but Nina was on top of that, and that is going to be a dead disruptor. Very nice blink forward there. MCanning on the defense might start to warping those DTs for the harasser. I think it's exactly what he's doing. He's got to dislodge this somehow because he's not going to be able to go through this choke. Nina's definitely using it against him.
And Nina playing this disruptor game very well. MCanning's normally known as sort of the god of NA disruptors, but Nina so far 3-0 with disruptor shots. Until then, I spoke too soon, and Nina gonna lose 4 disruptors in 1 shot. That's the kind of aggression that MCanning needs, but he needs about 10 more of those shots to really secure this game.
Oh, jeez. I mean, he should be okay now. That's just that means that Nina, whenever she uses a disruptor shot, she just only has so many left over, right? And that's when you get the aggressive blink forward. So there you go. One aggressive blink forward to capture the Oracle, and then chase down some Stalkers. It only is going to last so long, though. You know they're on double robo, in fact, triple robo for Nina. So the disruptor count doesn't stay low for very long.
Yeah, I love the additional observers. If you look at the observer count, it's 4 for Nina and 3 for MCanning right now. Both of them absolutely terrified about what those DTs can do if they get into your base and there's nothing to fight against them. So DTs on both sides now, sort of poking and prodding around just a little bit here. I love this setup from MCanning, though. Set up the DTs in the third, wait for your opponent to come in, and while they're busy microing against you, send the DTs into the third base and wreak havoc.
Yep, distraction is a really big part of this back and forth. You could try and just play out a simple disruptor war, but if you want to find your opponent not paying attention, both of them do. MCanning starts a DT harassment as he also engages this defense. DT is up against 2 cannons and a shield battery. You know it's pretty serious about her anti-DT defense, but okay, just barely going to be enough there.
Man, little bits and bobs, little shavings of Stalkers getting picked off by these disruptors here. But it looks like Nina is actually ready to go for some real pressure. The disruptor count looking really scary. 11 for Nina, 10 now for MCanning. Make that 9. Oh my god, it didn't die. Never mind. Take 9? There it is. 9 for MCanning. But, oh man, Nina just getting some better shots initially here than MCanning is. Oh man, every time I say that Nina's doing well with disruptor shots, MCanning proves me wrong, CG.
MCanning fans are gonna start paying you under the table. Just keep saying it, keep saying it. Oh, a very aggressive blink forward from Nina, apparently, to try and capture some of the disruptors of MCanning. I'm not sure that actually worked out well enough, I actually cannot tell you. The Stalkers barely kill the disruptor in time with the help of the DTs. And this was a bit wonky, but it does end up in favor of MCanning. He comes at a 30 supply ahead, 8 disruptors to 3.
And Nina's trying to be cute and get a new base down. That's going to be immediately spotted and immediately canceled there. Not able to take a forward base. A bit of an aggressive push from Nina there, honestly, to begin with. But we'll see if MCanning can capitalize now. He's way ahead on army supply. His disruptor count 4 ahead, and with all these DTs in the field, he's got to be feeling good about his chances here. He's got a lot of DPS in his army that Nina's missing.
That's going to be a tough hold for Nina, but this one disruptor maybe was more surprise. Not actually going to be able to get the disruptors of her opponents. Some counter DTs to try and hold on, but not working out for Nina. She is kind of floundering under the fence, coming in through her own choke against that many disruptors. She's going to have to hope for a big ol' strike, and she's not finding it. No, doesn't even try on that one. Oh my goodness. That's not a lot of disruptor shots left for Nina. And MCanning still with plenty.
Yeah, and one thing we've seen time and time again here at DreamHack is not just the army engagement, but look at the probes lost count now. Nina down 14 probes, 49 to 69 probes. Nice from MCanning. So Nina's actually way behind economically in this game, and it's going to take a miracle disruptor shot just like that to bring things back even. Nina's going to aggressively plug forward on top of MCanning here, and now MCanning is running for his life.
That was exactly what Nina was waiting for. Surprisingly, she hadn't gotten it quite yet. She was a little bit slower on 2 disruptor shots that could have gotten the same amount, but eventually, finally found the shot to hit almost all of the disruptors and an easy cleanup after that. MCanning, I mean, he got himself into a very difficult position, right? Like, their reinforcements were still bound to come in because Nina wasn't entirely out of minerals. So he was kind of stuck there against a growing number of disruptors, and even if he had tried to recall, as soon as he recalls, he can't even fire back. So his disruptors die no matter what happens, basically, unless he could just win with a micro, which is going to be more and more difficult to do. So the game evens up as PvP does. Nina is now going to be the one attacking into MCanning. She is 6 disruptors to 6, but Nina is also losing maybe control of her own 5th. A couple of zealots on top of that could just be a base trade.
Man, this would be a really ugly base trade if it came down to it. I don't even know who that would favor. MCanning still on 70 workers, about the same. Nina has rebuilt a lot of those workers she lost earlier, though. Looks like the DTs will clean up these zealots here, and the 5th base from Nina will stand. So that puts Nina 1 base ahead of MCanning right now, which means her economy is going to be a little bit more sustainable than MCanning's will. But I don't know if it's going to come down to economy at all this game. Again, both of these players seem to be going for a knockdown, drag-out, disruptor, stalker fight.
Yeah, Nina's up 2 bases with the middle right also being taken. A couple disruptors found by a zealot, which is nice, but yeah. MCanning unable to trade a base for a base is now in a bit of a worrying spot. Disruptors can do anything, though. I truly believe that. So Nina might have more room to make mistakes with the superior economy. She still can't make a catastrophic mistake like losing all of her disruptors. And MCanning is still going to try and make stuff work with his own harassment. I think he knows that top base is pretty weak, so he's going to go after it again.
Yeah, I like that he's forcing the engagement here with Nina as well on the bottom side. So just clearing the way for his own units to move into that 12 o'clock base of Nina and get some pressure done. But of course, Nina not going to allow this aggression to go unchecked, man, and is going to take out the only detection at this 4th base of MCanning. And if Nina focuses, she would be able to take down that base. Unfortunately, she's going to get spooked, scared away. And now, wow, MCanning's been cleaned up as well. Man, this is such a back and forth. Such a back and forth.
Nice maneuver there from Nina, put an observer over her base. Like, I saw that one DT and I was like, oh, that might do it, but Nina actually had detection. And that's the silly thing about PvP sometimes. Eventually, your attacks, your little run-bys, have to also bring observers. It gets weird, but that's the way you gotta do it. So, MCanning, oh, what happened here? I see a lot of dead disruptors. Looks like maybe Nina took a worse trade. She's down to 5 compared to MCanning's 8, so something happened, but the economy is really working hard here for Nina. She's starting to bank up a lot. She can go back into triple disruptor production and maybe even start to really hammer home on the harassment. She just warped in nothing but DTs. There's not much MCanning can do about that.
PvP is always terrifying. You can't start a long sentence in PvP because by the time you finish a sentence, something new is happening on the map and a new disruptor ball has gone down. Very aggressive blink forward there from Nina. Going to get driven away again by MCanning, but so far, both players playing fairly even, but Nina has pulled slightly ahead now, even though she's behind in upgrades. Is that +1 shield upgrade going to make a big difference for MCanning in this game?
I don't really think it will. I don't, but I mean, Stalker battles are still an important part of the Disruptor Wars, and it does help the Disruptors as well, of course, but Not as much as I think replacing those disruptors and those stalkers does. The superior economy for Nina is still a decision I like better. MCanning's trying to cut it down, though, and has actually found some wiggle room here. Middle right base is going to go down. Some harassment actually gets cleaned up in Nina's force. She has a billion cannons, and well, Nina doesn't have a billion cannons. MCanning does not have that many cannons to help the defense. It's DT on DT action, both of them with observers, which means the superior DT count of Nina wins out. What a battle. What a battle. Okay, well, more reinforcements come in, and Nina does not end up taking on that base.
MCanning forced to commit to the defense there and will drive Nina away. Nina, meanwhile, winning on the south side of the map as well, eating a bit more damage than MCanning, but able to drive him away and replant that base at the 4 o'clock position. Nina also expanding up at the 11 o'clock position on this map also. So Nina double expanding, whereas MCanning is not expanding at all. We're going to see 7 base against 5 base. And if we look at the income chart, we'll see that Nina has finally, in the last minute or so, pulled ahead of MCanning, and that indicates that she's had a little bit more map presence and feels a little more confident about the play.
Yeah, MCanning really wants to stall at least one of these bases. So he's sending a large force. I think the defensive force of his base now being sent out. Nina finally wins the disruptor trade there, but there's still so many more disruptor attacks to be had. She loses a couple of stalkers. In the top left, DTs and Zealots finding a pretty undefended base. Good warp in, might be able to save the day, but DTs are pretty good even when they're being detected. Yep.
Very nicely done. Sorry, I was in the middle of a yawn just as you passed off to me. I was like, oh, keep talking.
No, we just witnessed the beauty that is DT on DT action, you know. Sometimes we just like to sit back and go like, well, that's how that works. Cool.
This whole map is just full of it. This first game is everything we could have asked for. Disruptor versus disruptor, blink stalkers, DTs. I mean, short of both players suddenly and inexplicably going for sky toss, I think we've seen just about everything you could possibly want in a PvP here.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea for Nina, who does have the superior economy. It wouldn't be a bad idea for her to add on another Stargate since hers was, lost, and then at least start a possible transition. It's really difficult to do, of course, but that is the best thing you can do. If you can eventually get to the Tempest, you will be actually winning the army fights. It takes a while to do so. Just gonna recall, taking this threat very seriously, even though her own DTs were actually cleaning that up. Attacking into MCanning, still pretty important third base. And looks like that's going to go down as MCanning was way out of position.
Yeah, first base. I was going to say first base that's killed in a while, but it's not. She is retreating. I think she's got wind of this army from the south from MCanning coming up. Now, Nina's reinforcements are going to catch MCanning's reinforcements here. Some big disruptor balls going off on the north flank for MCanning. Nina going to chase all the way back down here. Both players taking heavy losses right now. It's all going to come down to the last disruptor shots here. Good blinks away from both players there. One disruptor does go down for MCanning, but Nina able to make it out. My God, Zombie Grove. That was an even trade for both players. Nina maybe barely ahead.
Yeah, I think so. MCanning aggressively blinked with a handful of stalkers to snipe one disruptor, and if he had actually had the APM to split, which is basically an impossible ask because so many things are happening in that engagement, if he did and he split those stalkers, there's so many weak disruptors that are actually pretty susceptible to dying, basically. Like, he could have taken a bit of a better trade, but he just ended up sniping the one and getting clumped up. So Nina comes out ahead, still with the disruptors. While not very healthy, they are alive. 11 disruptors for MCanning, though. So still not counting anyone out in this game, despite MCanning being down 30 supply.
Yeah, very aggressive plays here from MCanning. Oh no, they killed the animal on the map. Oh, you monsters. How could you?
You know, you actually get an achievement for killing the Ursidon on, like, Arena, is it? One of those maps,
really?
One of those stupid maps. Yeah, or Dazzle Station, I think it is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you ever see a portrait that's like a wolf head on a mantle, or whatever it is, the Ursidon head on a mantle, that's what they did. They killed an Ursidon.
Oh, really? I'll have to go achievement hunt that one later. That sounds pretty good. Man, these disruptor balls just so close to each other. These players clearly know this matchup so well. I keep thinking that one Purification Nova is going to land, but almost nothing is. Small engagements and small numbers of casualties in each engagement, but both these players just fighting to the bitter end here. Nina trying to reestablish this 11 o'clock base, but MCanning continuing to pressure the base at the 4 o'clock.
Oh, what the heck? Oh, from behind! MCanning, two disruptors from behind just took a fatal blow to Nina's disruptor count. She only has 2 on the front line. A total of 4, but I'm not sure where the other 2 are. And actually, MCanning is going to take advantage. Blink forward, split very, very well indeed. And that is aided for the disruptors in the front line. But Nina, she's using that defending force. Oh my God, another amazing shot from MCanning. Nina is getting some revenge, okay? She might lose this middle right base, but she's finally taking down that third of MCanning. supplies are so even. Base is going down left and right. Even Zealots on Nina's would-be 6th base. And are we getting into a base trade? Is it actually happening? Aggressive blink forward takes up the disruptor before it can actually end its shot. And that is now at Nina at only 2 disruptors once again. Oh, MCanning is actually making this work.
I can't believe this, CG. What a way to end things here. One small mistake snowballing in. That flank from MCanning was absolutely chef's kiss gorgeous here. Now, Nina is continuing the pressure push. She still has 52 army supplies, so she's not down and out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. But if this turns into a really ugly base trade, I think it's going to favor MCanning just a little bit. The superior disruptor count, 10-4, and obviously the ability to warp in some more TTs. Even though his economy is slightly behind, it's going to be a really weird one. Really weird one here, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, I'm worried about Nina's disruptor count, but her DTs really did some work there. Never clumping up quite enough for MCanning's 1 disruptor to clean everything up. DT is now going to take out MCanning's 4th base. I mean, it's not as important as a base as his 5th and 6th, but still nice disruption of the economy since Nina was able to keep her, I don't even know what to call these bases anymore, her 6th alive, the top left base alive, and is now replanting the middle right. Oh, it actually never died. It didn't actually die, just by getting so low on health. Nina could still utilize those 50 workers a lot more than MCanning might be able to utilize his 37, which isn't actually a very good number to begin with.
Yeah, so long term, this game is going to be a little bit better for Nina. MCanning, I think, needs to find some pressure and find an opportunity to make that pressure work for him. He's only got a little bit longer. There it is. Finally goes down. You were right, CG. You're just a little bit behind. That's all.
Yeah.
Or a little bit ahead. That's all. Anyway, MCanning, I think, needs to find needs to find damage earlier rather than later. And it looks like he's getting ready to do that as he jumps on top of Nina now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that MCanning does win with this momentum, but Nina is I kind of like the army to the right side. It's like Zealots and DTs. I just think that pure Blink Stalker Disruptor is going to be where MCanning can really like guess correctly how to take the engagement. But as soon as you put charge lots on top of the army, it gets a little bit weirder. So, I mean, maybe, but I didn't really get a surprise on MCanning, so he was already evacuating.
It's so odd. Observers suddenly become a very important unit here. Obviously, if you lose your observer, the DTs from your opponent can just overrun you here. We see both armies with a couple DTs mixed in. 3 for MCanning, 4 for Nina. Disruptor shots not going to get the shots they need, though. Nina losing a few more MCanning losing a few more disruptors here. Nina on the path to a comeback? Question mark?
I think her Zealots will have to actually get like literally on top of the disruptors, which so far MCanning's not letting them happen. Like he knows that that could be a threat. You know, DT's blinking on top has actually saved a couple of other PvP fights in the past, but he's just not letting it happen. Nina can't get close with any type of army. She's splitting to the best of her ability. She's once again caught MCanning in that little hole, like similar to the other side of the map, forcing a recall, but the recall is just a little bit too late. And now MCanning's 10 disruptors is down to 5. He's lost a decent chunk of the rest of his army as well in that maneuver, and Nina's supply now taking the jump up.
Man, that disruptor shot, grabbing those recalled disruptors, huge. It's like selling a dress to the pretty woman, to Julia Roberts. It's a big mistake, huge there for MCanning, letting those disruptors get caught. So he's in fact going to cancel another base there, decides he can't defend it, I guess, and working on just adding on some more disruptors here. But now Nina, with a superior probe count and a superior army count, I think the tables have turned just a little bit. And even though she's 1 disruptor behind, I think she's got this if she pushes now and dodges the rest of the disruptor balls from MCanning.
When does anyone actually got this, man?
Never.
Like, even
Never.
when they've been a little low on disruptors, it's always just barely enough. Nina entering into now some production as well, barely grabs that disruptor before her entire stalker army gets obliterated. Knows that MCanning must be on the way, so he's going to start throwing out those disruptor balls. But really nice moves from MCanning to always blink something forward to say, okay, are you prepared for this or not? Can I then blink, all my blink stalkers forward? Isn't going to lose his natural nor his army, and is not even taking the middle right base, right underneath Nina's 4th.
That's been one of the most contested bases this entire map here, that 4 o'clock base that MCanning is grabbing now. A little surprising to see him that he thinks he can hold that, and I think Nina's going to be a little surprised as well once she discovers it. Should be an easy pressure point for Nina to hit, but MCanning, a little bit desperate right now, honestly, Zombie Grub. Kind of needs to get another base down very soon because the income favoring Nina here quite strongly, and has been for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, she's always had more workers and a few more bases to spread around. MCanning is just hoping that the resources trade will continue to go in his favor, which actually recently they really haven't. So he's gonna fix that a little bit, but I do believe in the MCanning disruptor, the shots. A single unit on top of Nina's next base, because I kind of run out of what exactly to call these. But good defense once again from Nina. Things have actually really calmed down, but I think it's about to get heated again.
Well, we keep hoping that. We've been saying it for about the last 20 minutes or so, but now we've hit minute 30 of this game, which means that really the only thing limiting the length of this game is the player's imagination, Zombie Grub. So we'll see if they want to go for a big engagement here, but the Disruptor Ball so far just zoning MCanning out, not actually getting too much damage done at all. Another disengagement. Huh.
Time is certainly on Nina's side, even as MCanning finally gets another base up. I mean, it's going to be back, pretty much just a 2-base mining, which 38 workers still does not quite cover.
Right.
I thought there was an observer over there, but I guess it went with the main army. So MCanning getting a couple of shots, but definitely can't afford one of the bigger harassment units. And unfortunately, Nina has been able to afford some cannons. So yeah, MCanning's going to make a really decisive move, and that is going to be going across the map without Nina's knowledge. And she decides, you know what? All right, let's base trade. Let's do it.
Yeah, wow. She's definitely going to go for it here. I love the observer pickoffs there from MCanning, allowing any DTs that he has with that army. He doesn't have any right now, but any DTs that he brings in with this army should be a little more effective. The cannons going to get picked down here. The 12 o'clock base under pressure. But as you said, Nina also going for that base trade, going down to the 6 o'clock base of MCanning and trying to pressure that one as well. My gosh, action everywhere right now.
I think she lost a handful of her Zealots and DTs to a Disruptor, but the rest of her army is still definitely intact. MCanning going to lose control of his base. No, actually, she's going to retreat, realizing that an Observer wasn't in place, or, well, there is now one, but now what is she going to do? A little bit less decisive on Nina's side, and that could be really costly in a base trade. Very costly indeed, but, oh, speaking of Observers, where did MCanning's Observers go? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, so awkward.
And the Disruptor Balls trying to take out those DTs. Of course, Disruptor Balls do destroy DTs, even if they can't see them. So it's a bit of a mind game there. We're going to force the recall out of Nina just to take out MCanning's base. But Nina working her way down and across now in the bottom of the 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock base for MCanning now. And now Nina truly on the warpath, ahead in workers, ahead in army supply.
MCanning was able to recall the Disruptors, but awkwardly all the Stalkers are left behind, so... I mean, not much flexibility there, just hoping that Nina walks into the Disruptor's upper ramp, but she's actually even just sending her own attacks forward, just in case suddenly there's an army. I think she's got this. I mean, MCanning's gonna try and get a bit of a surround, bit of a surprise. Nina has an observer, though. That's not gonna be a surprise enough. Oh, no. Oh, jeez.
It just highlights how good both of these players are at this matchup, right? The map awareness from both of them is just on point all the time. Absolutely tactical plays from both of our players here as the game ticks over into the 33rd minute.
There's so many cannons left over on Nina's side of the map as well. I mean, she doesn't have much mining left over, so both of them can't really replace very much, but it is going to be Nina just in a favorable position. Loses a couple of units of Disruptors. Get someone out the Disruptor. There we go. But MCanning was kind of taking like almost a hidden base that gets found by a single DT. Yeah, MCanning's DT. What is it about this spot not having observers? What's up with this?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with all these players. Nina, of course, forced to recall back to this base to deal with this, but with the depowered photon cannon, that DT is going to have enough time to get some damage done. Luckily, observers from Nina do pop in and will destroy that, so she will defend her base. But man, MCanning down to 1 probe right now, and it's going to be a very difficult comeback for MCanning.
The army supply is close enough that anything can happen, but not if you just take damage from the Disruptor. Then it can't happen. Then it absolutely can't.
And the other Ursadon got murdered. Come on.
Oh, man.
Come on, players. Have a heart.
There's only one observer left for MCanning. I wouldn't agree about the Ursadon, but I'm kind of grieving for MCanning. This isn't looking so hot, but maybe he can do it. That base, like, it was with 5 cannons, even though he has Disruptors and, like, will upgraded Stalkers, that actually is not really something you want to trade out with. You know, what if he loses 2 Stalkers of that? Oh, you can't afford to replace them. Nina, I mean, I don't know if she's trying to circumvent him or is purposely avoiding the army fight, but another base trade it is.
Man, for the 3rd time this game, both players are throwing caution to the wind and just moving across the map. This time, though, MCanning has even less than Nina does. Nina on 5 bases right now, MCanning all the way down to 2. So even if it comes down to a base trade, even if both armies were even, which they are not, would still be in favor of Nina here. And I expect we'll see MCanning trying to go for some sort of recall to defend his main base quite quickly. If he can't save that main base, he has nowhere to recall to. I'm really concerned that he might just lose this game on like the technical knockout where he just loses all of his buildings.
Yeah, that is possible. I mean, Nina is understandably a little afraid to go up that ramp, but she blinks 1 Stalker forward. The observer comes in and sees nothing to defend, and if a recall comes in now, it might be a little bit too late. MCanning, I guess, is just kind of saying, okay, I can't recall. Oh, he's finally doing it, but it's so late. Oh, it's barely going to be in time. It is only one disruptor? Well, that's not enough.
What? MCanning. Oh no, this disruptor has a huge task ahead of it. It's got to throw the best Hail Mary disruptor shot in the world, and it's not going to. A nice aggressive lunge there from Nina. Going to jump on top, just depowering all the gateways for MCanning. Not that it matters, because he can't afford to warp in anything else anyway. And now disruptors at the natural, just going to try and keep the army of MCanning at bay for as long as possible. Nina's observer, a proper MVP there.
Yeah, it is about to be taken out. About to be taken. Well, it could be taken out. But there we go. There we go. All right, so Nina's maybe stuck, but recall definitely exists for her Protoss as well. So worst case scenario, she recalls out the disruptors and tries to blink away her stalkers. MCanning certainly won't be getting up this ramp. I don't see that happening. He's gonna really try though. He's going for the long shot. Doesn't work out. Loses the disruptor in turn. Gets another shot though. Decent number of stalkers went down. That is officially the last Nexus, and Nina knows that. Just gotta hold on.
And we see some counter sprays from Nina. Those red balloons coming down as well. Beautifully done by our American Protoss player, Nina. It looks like she's going to be grabbing game number 1 here, short of one amazing disruptor ball. MCanning just has to try and take out this army, but man, it's a tall order.
It really is. Oh, man. He's just hoping that Nina messes up. I mean, I would say, like, more often, MCanning has taken some of these better 1v1 disruptor trades, but it's not, like, totally been in his favor, so I can see him hoping for it, but Nina is not going to allow it, and certainly not going to allow all of her disruptors to get hit. No. That would be the real comeback there.
I will say this looks a lot like the time when Nina trapped MCanning against the back of a mineral line. A couple of times, happened twice this game actually, where MCanning was trapped up against the mineral line. A disruptor shot left the stalkers and disruptors nowhere to go. This is fool's dice at this point. They're playing with fire.
This is peak PvP.
Oh!
Nina actually gets the advantage there, and without many disruptors, there's no way MCanning can win. GG is called. Nina takes game 1 after 37 minutes.
I want a count of how many Purification Novas were sent out total that game. If you had to guess, Zombie Grub, how many would you guess?
350.
Wow. That's probably a pretty decent guess, actually. I have no idea what the actual number is, but my God, what a series. Everything we hoped for in game number 1, and we'll be getting into game number 2 here very shortly. Do you think it'll be as long as that one, ZG?
Yeah, kind of. I think so. I mean, I think that Nina has already kind of used all the tricks versus Neeb, and then it's too risky to do it versus MCanning, who's going to watch that PvP. Also, I don't think that she has to, right? Like, she obviously feels confident in the stage that we got to. So
right.
I think it won't be on her to really stop things before they start, but it is PvP, and in PvP, there's a lot of other options to open up with to get bigger leads than what happened in that last game. Because that last game,
right,
even though it was a bit of a different opener for both parties, kind of just, washed into a regular disruptor blink game.
Yeah, it did. So a very long game in game 1, and we're getting into game 2 now. Eternal Empire LE, another very standard map here. It looks like our map pool is down below. Ice and Chrome, Eternal Empire, Pillars of Gold, Death Aura, and ending with, ZG, if we get another game 5, it's going to be on Golden Wall.
That's what we're hoping for, man. We're hoping for. I guess Nina not feeling comfortable on a small map makes a lot of sense. I'm pretty sure MCanning also would have vetoed Submarine, but I'm going to play on Everdream.
Yeah, Everdream's an odd choice. That's one of the maps I think we see in the rotation the most often, right? It's up there with Eternal Empire and Death Aura, where I feel like I see it almost every series. So a bit of an interesting ban choice there from MCanning, Everdream LE, but hey, maybe he's got something up his sleeve for this next series. Guys, we are loaded into the lobby now, waiting on Nina, who has requested one moment to gather herself before the next game. Oh, man. Now, here's my real question for you, ZG. What are the odds that we don't see a single disruptor in any of the remaining games?
You're asking if we'll ever see no disruptors in a game?
That's what with these 4, or with the remaining 4 games, if we go to game 5,
nah.
Will any of them between these 2 players not involve disruptors?
You know what? I'm going to say one of them does not involve disruptors.
You're saying one map, no disruptors.
Right, yeah.
Okay. I like that call. I like that call a lot. I'm hoping that does come true. Maybe we'll see some crazy sky toss game or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Finally, the countdown has begun, and we're hopping into Eternal Empire LE. MCanning and Nina. Nina grabbing that game number 1, looking just very solid.
Both of them looked about as solid as you can in Disruptor Blink Wars, you know? Like,
Right.
obviously some made mistakes, but that just happens. I think MCanning, like, ultimately his positioning behind those mineral lines really killed him twice over. So I guess he was less good at the positioning, and that's why he lost. But it was really close. Even to the end, it was so damn close. We can only hope that something like that happens again on Eternal Empire. In the bottom left, up one, she is Exxon's Nina.
And her opponent in the top right-hand side in the red, representing the US of A, it's MCanning. Hey, Zombie Grub, did you ever play Donkey Kong 64 as a kid?
I did, yes. I don't really remember much of it.
I just remembered the riff they played for Nina, that guitar riff, that that sounds a lot like the Diddy Kong guitar gazump riff that he has when he has a little instrument. It sounds exactly like that one. I don't know why, but it just reminds me very strongly of his had a little different opener, I think. But that's what I hear every time they play that riff. I'm just like, man, I gotta play some DK64. It's been too long.
That was a pretty fun game. It was indeed.
It's one of my favorite speedruns to watch now. Those people are crazy good at it.
Yeah. Speedrunning is fun to watch, man. Like the technicalities. It's like why I like watching MMO PvE runs as well.
Yeah.
Like I can't stand any MMOs PvP. I actually don't see the appeal in any MMOs PvP.
Right.
But I'll watch some PvE runs, you know, like the world's first and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
They're actually kind of fun because they just go into so many of the technicalities. And you're just like, what? No. And then they do another one. You're like, what? No, that's how that works.
Amazing. I can only do it if I've played the game that you're running or that you're doing the PvE. Like for speedruns, I can't watch a speedrun of a game I've never played before because I have no respect for how difficult the actual controls are, you know? But then if it's a game that I've played a lot, I'm like, wow, I was terrible at this game, and somehow you are destroying it. This is impressive. Nina opening up with Stalkers again here. Now, normally, of course, a double Stalker opener indicates no Stargate. But last game, we saw Nina go with 4 Stalkers and then proxy a Stargate. So normally I'd say Nina's not going to go for Stargate, but that might just be incorrect.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, usually, like, double Stalker and a Stargate, okay, that happens. But I think she went, like, 4 Stalkers and then Stargate. Or Stargate was really one of the latest ones.
Right.
It could have been, while still being kind of that hidden proxy one. So, yeah, it is going to be another Stargate opener. MCanning would be a fool to believe that it cannot be a Stargate just because he saw the Stalkers come out. So I think we'll be at least somewhat aware. Still cautiously throw down a shield battery because, especially for him, the worst case scenario is not preparing against a Stargate. He builds Adepts. He doesn't have any anti-air. So if he doesn't build a shield battery, he's kind of screwed.
Yeah, he could be in a lot of trouble. The Probe gonna see these Adepts coming across. That's a good sign for Nina, who's like good opening Adepts. And MCanning starts 2 more Adepts here. Uh-oh, this looks really rough. If there's no shield battery here and the first Oracle makes it across the map, MCanning could just tap out immediately.
MCanning wouldn't do this build over and over and over again if he didn't always defend against the Oracle, I think. So the shield battery is coming down. And I mean, one of the more clever things Nina could do, I suppose, is wait for 2 Oracles. Because, you know, the Adepts probably won't get into the main base, so that's exactly what they shouldn't do if Nina's playing correctly. So he could kind of get like a false sense of security, maybe only warp in Stalkers in the natural, not the main or something like that. But, you know, it's always a difficult decision for the Stargate player to make because they also sometimes think, you know, yeah, if I just get there a little bit faster, the shield battery won't quite be done and the Stalkers won't quite be warped in.
Right.
See what Nina does. Is she holding on to that Oracle? Nailed it, called it. Everyone who says I'm dumb, you're dumb, shut up.
Nobody's ever said you're dumb, ZG. Of course she hangs on to that Oracle. You called it perfectly. Second Oracle now coming out from Nina, and MCanning has how many Stalkers on the map? Count with me, kids. Zero. There's none, of course. So there's no counting to do. If those 2 Oracles make their way across the map unscouted, MCanning's going to be in a world of pain.
I really like it. I really like it. And MCanning isn't even bothering to warp in Stalkers. If he can get away with it, I mean, he doesn't have to build Stalkers until he's building a Blink, which, I mean, he's actually even delaying in this game, so we could maybe see if this game doesn't just, like, have a game-decisive Oracle harassment. We could see, like, charge out a Mortal Archon first and foremost from MCanning, so we're, like, really mixing up the mid-game strategy. But these Oracles have such a good chance to do some catastrophic damage. This entire natural mineral line, that'd be 13 probes. That goes down. Ooh, ouchies.
MCanning not pulling any probes there until it's too late. 7 going down immediately. 1 Stalker warped in, but look at this, catching a transferring probe. The Adepts on the other side are going to finish their shade here, but the Stalkers from Nina should be able to clean this up, and MCanning has just bupkis back home to deal with this. 1 Stalker to try and defend against these double oracles. 20 kills? 19 kills. Oh my gosh, that's so good for our gal Nina.
That is very, very good. I mean, I'm not MCanning's coach, and I'm not really good at PvP myself, but I do feel like always going for this Adept opener, it's supposed to kind of hurt you, like to do anything over and over again is supposed to hurt you in PvP. But then an opener like this, which I don't know, it feels like I know he's gotten advantages with it, and certainly like his own ladder games, of course, he's won games with it, I'm sure. But this tournament, I just haven't really been convinced by the opener, even if it does end up going into the macro game. And now it's been hardcore punished.
Absolutely. Nina has just put a complete stop to it. No matter how many sprays MCanning drops in her main base, she's still going to find a way to come back with it. Interesting. I was trying to watch the player cams just a little bit, and we see MCanning sort of sitting back in his chair, wiggling his mustache, looking really dejected by losing all those probes. Especially because I think he invested so much in infrastructure. I mean, look at his tech right now. He's got the Robo, he's got a Forge, he's got a second Nexus. He's working on a Robo Bay now, but he's simply not able to utilize all of those as quickly as he wants to. His +1 was delayed significantly, so even though Nina's Forge was late, MCanning's still going to be even on upgrades, give or take. And just a really big blow there for MCanning.
It is really bad. I wonder if he was planning on going into Immortal Charge, like to start things off, just with that very delayed Twilight Council, or maybe he was very worried about a Dark Shrine. That's actually a very realistic possibility. But regardless, like I think he has to just hope on Disruptors bringing it back. That is actually his just backup Hail Mary plan. And well, I think it could work if Nina lets him get to Disruptors, if that happens.
Yeah, I got some bad news for us, though. It doesn't look like Nina has any intention to let MCanning get up to Disruptors here. Nina pushing across the map now, checks for the 3rd, sees it's not there, and is going to go ahead and schlep on into the natural. Blink is ready to go, and she can start sniping these units one by one. The hallucinated Stalkers are about to expire there, and that means there's just 1 Immortal. Nina focus firing down what she can, waiting for the shield battery to maybe run out of energy, trying to force out a shield battery overcharge, and there it is. The overcharge forced out. Nina's going to blink back, but still in a really solid position.
I think it's also she kind of had a weird blink, right? And I think that was just her hoping to get an instant reaction of an overcharge. So she didn't actually get the shot she could have on the Immortal, but regardless, she was waiting for the overcharge to be done and over with. Immortal barely doesn't survive, just kidding. Last shot takes it out, and MCanning is going to go down 0-2.
That poor Immortal. I thought he could make it out alive, but no dice at all for it. Getting sniped on the high ground with that last Blink Stalker. So MCanning taps out, and Zombie Grub, our 2nd series of the day, to open up with a 2-0. Guys, we'll be back with game number 3 between Nina and MCanning after a short break. Stick around. You're watching the DreamHack Fall Masters 2020. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to DreamHack Fall Masters 2020. I'm Creighton Olsen, joined by Zombie Grub. Zombie Grub, a 2-0 lead for Nina right now. Do you think she can clean it out with a 3-0 and send MCanning packing?
Yes, I think it is possible, but I'm not sure if it's likely. I think the first game was a real nail biter, and it just, okay, they both played their heart out. She takes the first game, fine. Second game, I feel like it's like a straight up, kind of like a build order win even, right? Like there's no way I'm getting a scout that that's what she was doing.
Right.
So third game, build order win should not happen again, I think. So instead, third game, we should get a similar game to the first game, and then that I think might go in MCanning's favor this time around.
I should have gone for a bit of a longer walk if it's going to be another half-hour game, Zombie Grub. I know my legs are starting to kill me from not actually standing up for so long today. We've had some incredibly long series, and they have been so well worth it. Even the ones that haven't gone to Game 5 have just been so fabulous.
Yeah, it's been a very fun day. Not going to be quite as long as Wednesday, but...
oh, yeah, you guys, that was an epic cast.
Easy action of Depend On for that.
So, let's see, it's 5:20 right now. Once this game finishes, our last series is a ZVZ. We could be out of here by like 5:45 if it's that quick.
Yeah, I mean, ZVZs, they do have the potential to go pretty short, don't they? All right. Well, this I don't believe is going to end in a 3-0. It is currently what Nina would love to have happen. In the bottom left, down 0-2, he is the red Protoss, MCanning.
And on the top left-hand side, his fellow countryman. Her name is Nina.
Good old Americans.
That's right.
Oh, she's got the colored overlay bug, I think.
Yeah, that's so frustrating to deal with here. Let's see if there's a remake. Yeah, we will go into a different game here. So annoying. For those of you who don't know, the overlay bug is a really frustrating bug these players get sometimes when we host the game, and then instead of getting their normal UI, they get like a bright pink, bright green, just lurid display that burns your retinas a little bit. And of course, these players can't afford to be unfocused during their series.
Yeah,
so we will remake the game really quickly.
That one screenshot I saw was like, yeah, as you describe it, was like bright pink even.
Yeah.
It was like a bug with like the Vorzin overlay or something like that. And I was like, oh, no, that makes sense. Yeah, you should ask for a remake. But I think there's other bugs that happen where it's just kind of like a cool looking kind of overall red overlay. And I'm like, that's not too bad. But it is off-putting since these guys play like thousands of games and are used to their overlay. And suddenly it's just different.
Right, and not just that it's off-putting. I mean, if you think about how important these games are right now, if you end up in 7th and 8th place in this tournament, as one of these players is going to do, or we're up to 6th place? Sorry, 6th place. If you end in 5th and 6th place, that's $2,000, which is great. But if you make it out of this into the top 4, you're guaranteed an extra $1,000. So one way to think about this best of 5 is that it's basically a $1,000 show match, which is pretty darn good money for these players.
Yeah, that always puts a little bit more weight on it, doesn't it? I think for everyone, and MCanning himself, everyone's just hoping for the continued story of the streamer, I just stream, playing in tournaments who's just for fun guy. I'd love to see him continue on. Yeah, I think he has the potential. Like, I was not a believer for the first 3 times MCanning was supposed to be the next coming of God, but...
And then you saw his face.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
And you're a believer.
But the one time I believed, man, it is PvP, and I'm getting, I don't know, maybe I actually should have continued guessing he wouldn't win. Maybe I was actually the secret to MCanning's victories. Oh, well.
I don't know whose caster curse is going to outdo who others caster curse, but we'll figure it out here in game number 3. Still bugged, but I will deal with it. Nina being such a trooper. Look at her go. Spawning in that top right-hand side in the red, representing America, currently teamless. It is MCanning. You were in the right key. That was impressive, CG.
Thank you. I totally know how to sing in key. In the bottom left is the blue Protoss. She is Nina. Now, earlier when I said I wasn't a music person, I really did mean it. I mean, some people say I have a terrible taste in music just listening, but everyone would absolutely say that I'm terrible at music because I really am. Did not enjoy band whatsoever.
See, I'm the opposite, where I also have terrible taste in music, but I still like to try to make music, even though I'm pretty bad at it. So it's one of those things where like singing in the showers is one of my favorite things. So when you say you've got terrible taste in music, like who is a band that you love that everyone else is just disgusted by when you tell them?
Well, you know, I think just like in K-pop already turns off many people.
That'll do it.
Many
Yeah.
music snobs turn their nose up to it. So
Ooh.
it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit to make fun of me for liking K-pop. But
Sure.
otherwise, actually, I really like retro wave, which does seem to be kind of everyone's tastes. So
Yeah.
people think I like that exclusively. Well, it's just because I played K-pop on my stream, I get in trouble. So
I can see why people say that, but you know what, CG? You be you, and you'll be the best you possibly can, and that's really all that matters.
oh, thanks,
Wow,
man.
how many sprays is one probe allowed to do in a game? MCanning is breaking the laws of physics here. That's
Yeah, people keep
5.
questioning that, and I was like,
What?
well, they changed the amount you could do, like in a patch, like 2 patches ago or something. I don't remember, but you just have to ask MCanning about it. Has he been asked yet in an interview? Did I miss that?
Is he playing with some sort of weird mod, and the only thing that his hack changes is how many sprays he can drop?
Most important hack.
That'd be the ultimate BM move. That'd be phenomenal. Oh, jeez. What a press release. DreamHack today has banned MCanning because he installed a hack, and everybody's like, "What's the hack? That's crazy! I love MCanning." Able to put down 37 sprays per probe.
You know why Overlords or why Zerg is really overpowered?
Why is that?
Because Overlords can also spray.
Can they really?
Yeah, we learned that. Yeah, on Wednesday. Roddy was like, I was with Roddy. I thought it was just like a mistake or like we just were crazy, but they actually can. Like,
What?
What's up with that?
I want a supply depot to be able to spray now, but you have to have it in the up. You have to have it in the up position to spray though, because if it's in the bottom position, it's got nowhere to attach the can of paint to the side.
Good point. Good point. I just want the photon overcharge of the pylon. You know, the pylon overcharge used to exist. Now it's like a spray overcharge. She just goes zap and sprays everywhere. That would make it balanced.
we gotta have a deep discussion. Somebody get us on the pylon show, and we can have a discussion about the spray meta.
Yeah.
And how this game should work.
Well, you know, we actually have some pretty different openers, which are a little bit more important to talk about, I guess. But since they weren't, I mean, nothing was really taken advantage of much. I think it was just MCanning saying, okay, I can't do that Adept opener anymore. No one tried doing the Nexus first, as that's like too easily blocked by a scout. And instead we got, you know, Stalker Sentry from MCanning into Sentry, I think is what happened. And then Nina went to Stalker Sentry. Like, yeah, very different roads, the same outcome. And then faster Twilight Council and Forge for MCanning. Nina's still only on a Robo. Going right after Robotics Base. She gonna do a Colossus drop.
Oh, yeah, she is.
Do that thing.
Yeah, she is. Now, this is fascinating because MCanning, just like in the previous games, has gone for, as you said, that early Forge, and now he's actually able to get that Forge out, or get that +1 out way before Nina. So if Nina's Colossus drop or Disruptor drop, I'm going to guess Colossus drop. I'm not sure. I've seen her do both. If it doesn't get much damage done, MCanning's going to be in a much more sustainable position over the course of the game.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's actually going to be worth it. I'm very curious if this is going to do damage. Hallucination is going to basically scout this. Like, it's not that common, so sometimes if this was a ladder... Well, the Hallucination is just going north. Oh, there it goes. So in a ladder game, maybe you're like, what is this guy doing? I don't understand. But since it's up against Nina, I think you're just going to immediately know, like, that's going to research speed, and that's either going to be a Colossus or a Disruptor on the way.
Right.
So MCanning should know, and then I guess the way you deal with it is just really to be in position. Try and chase it down with your Link Stalkers. That will be done.
Yeah, and that's really all about all you can do. Try and either snipe the Warp Prism or at least force it back into an uncomfortable position and prevent that drop from really going down. Because, man, once that Colossus is down, it really does do a ton of damage. I feel like when I watch a game, because, you know, humans are really bad at assessing what happens because we only remember, like, the most exciting things. And I always remember Colossi exploding, getting just destroyed because they have such a good death animation. They, like, stagger a little bit before they die. And I'm always like, oh, those Colossus, they're so weak. You got to protect them. Goodness gracious. But in the early game like this, the Colossus drops are actually really strong. The Colossus just has a massive hit pool. And it can be really scary. Now, luckily, Nina's not doing that. She's going for Disruptor, which requires a little bit more finesse, but it's still very hard to take down with a small number of gateway units.
I believe in Nina's ability to utilize this, because she does it. This is like kind of what she's known for a little bit. but I can't see a way it's actually going to do damage. And because it takes so many resources to do that, so you know that their Twilight Council was delayed, you get that faster blink. Nina's not going to push with the Disruptor, or if she does, it's really going to try and catch MCanning off guard. But as soon as he just collects his thoughts, collects his army, it's going to be fine. And so, I mean, if she pushes, okay, fine. But I still think it's going to turn out for MCanning to go like, oh, you're pushing? Let me just collect myself, warp in a couple stalkers, and, you know, out blink micro your only 2 Disruptors. That's not so bad to take care of. I don't know if Nina's push is going to do as much, but hell, maybe even just a killed third base would be actually really great.
Yeah, that would certainly put Nina in a strong position economically. Of course, the +1's finished up for MCanning, so he's going to have an upgrade advantage in this game. Let's see when he moves over here. A couple of hallucinated Disruptors of his own. I wonder if Nina's going to be fooled by this. The Immortals out probably shouldn't fool MCanning either. Disruptors moving forward here. First Disruptor will not going to get much done, and Nina's starting to wail away on this third base just a little bit.
MCanning doesn't quite know she doesn't have blink, I suppose. It's actually about 80% done, but yep, just kind of, I guess I don't mind the opportunity, right? She didn't get punished for it. It's not like she got everything blinked on. MCanning wasn't quite that prepared. The supplies were actually very even, but yeah, doesn't lose anything for it either. So MCanning still comes out ahead on the upgrades. It's gonna have much faster +2, already settling down a Dark Shrine as well, and his Disruptor count is matching Nina's.
Yeah. So, it's still anybody's game here. Disruptor not going to get too much done there. Nice movements there by MCanning. Going to save most of his stalkers, and the Disruptor will be forced to teleport home. Oh, man, Nina's gotta block this, though. Thank goodness her blink is finished in time. MCanning already worked on the Dark Shrine, though, and again, I gotta say, I just feel like MCanning's in such a strong position, even though Nina's army supply looks very strong. Look at her moving forward there to grab these Disruptors, though. A very aggressive walk forward. Doesn't quite snipe it, though, and does get forced to push out there, or is forced away again by MCanning. That was a very ballsy move by Nina.
Very aggressive indeed. Well, the stalker count is in her favor, so she kind of, I guess, could do that. But with the overcharged shield battery plus a guardian shield, it was going to really be a fight she was going to win. Plus, you know, any reinforcements. Nina has no Warp Prism to reinforce the engagement, nor distract MCanning further. So Canning could be a little bit okay with that. I guess MCanning doesn't have a Warp Prism either, as he's finishing up Dark Shrine, might not actually be utilized quite yet. Sharking around for good Disruptor shots. I believe MCanning shot first. He gets the kill. And Nina's not finding a whole lot from these movements, but she's also not getting punished, so she can continue slicing and dicing and maybe get another form of harassment on the field. She could continue holding this position. She could continue being the aggressor.
You know, I'm a little surprised, Zombie Grub. I feel like Nina's initial build was not as tight, not as efficient as MCanning's, right? Going for that Disruptor drop, as we said, causes you to build a lot of buildings you normally wouldn't, big investments early on that don't necessarily pay off. She hasn't lost that much more. She hasn't lost more than MCanning or gotten way better trades. Her income has only been moderately ahead of MCanning's, like barely, for the entire game. How does Nina have 10 additional army supply right now that MCanning simply doesn't?
I mean, MCanning is investing into, I guess, the upgrades a little bit faster, so that would have taken away, what, 2 stalkers. And then the Dark Shrine is a bit faster, so another stalker there. Double Robo is already being produced. I mean, he's investing a little bit more into the infrastructure, but he did actually fall a little bit behind in the economy for a while, as you were kind of pointing out. Nina was able to push off Blink to a point that it didn't actually hurt her, which was kind of the scariest thing about that opener, was the Disruptors weren't doing very much, and Blink was not on the way for her, but it didn't end up backfiring. She's doing fine. So MCanning now evening up the army supply. Unfortunately, has to cancel that 4th base and is no longer going to go for the push. Looks like Nina was like, wait a minute, where is your army? He calls back home. Oh, here comes the DTs. Nina should already have a couple of cannons. She does indeed. It's just such an anticipated part of the PvP meta. DT's got to be coming.
Yeah, you got to expect those to have them everywhere. So DT's going to march in here, but also Nina has, what, 4 observers out of the map right now? 3? 2 only for Nina, 3 for MCanning, so a fair amount. Should see a couple more observers popping out as well. Nina is on 2 robos, so it should be easy to scrub those in pretty quickly. Dark Templar blink on the way as +2 finishes up for Nina. MCanning's +3 is about halfway done, but that timing window is going to be very, very narrow for MCanning to hit. And buckle in, Zombie Grub. I think we may have another long PvP on our hands.
I think so. I mean, as dangerous as Disruptors can get, it seems like since they're both equally dangerous, both of them can bring it back. That's what happened in the first game. Like, in the first game, there was 1 or 2 opportunities for both players to just straight up win. Huge army supply differences, and it still kept going. So I think it's going to be a long game as well. MCanning, he got some really good moves on that first game, but I think twice his placement was just too bad. Getting himself stuck into a corner was just a little too bad, and then not keeping tabs on Nina's expansions. Things he's going to be fixing in this game, I can almost guarantee. But he is back on the defensive. Nina takes control over the map. Also some great vision from Nina. See how the Disruptor Wars go.
Zombie Grub, how do you feel about the difference in bases here? MCanning taking that 4th base at the forward triangle position, whereas Nina took the parallel base all the way down at the bottom corner. Do you feel like there's a distinct advantage for either player in this specific matchup when you're going Blinkstalker Disruptor? I don't think there's really an advantage. Sometimes I feel like the bottom right base is kind of an almost like, I hope it isn't quite scouted. I hope it kind of gives you the wrong impression, at least for the first few minutes. And then the next thing is that, like, where do you want to push and defend from is why you want to expand the way that you do. So in Nina's case, she wanted to push into MCanning's 4th base while also kind of pseudo-protecting her own 4th. And as the one who's been aggressive for basically the entire series, like I feel like he's always the one that's pushing into MCanning first and foremost. I actually like it a lot. War Prism in the main, though, is MCanning's time to finally strike back, but never mind about that. 2 cannons and 2 stalkers obliterated that War Prism harassment. And unfortunately, MCanning is not winning the war over here, although Disruptor is so good shot finally. Good shot, and actually such a good shot. He blinks on forward. Disruptor was hit first, and MCanning, he really saps back now. Yeah, some really nice shots there. That's going to force Nina way out here. A recall forced out of Nina, but Nina is in the main base right now, trying to pick off what she can. Might go for one of these robots, which will help her in her quest to come back on the Disruptor count. And these DTs from Nina clearing out some more bases from MCanning. So economically, Nina's now in a really strong position, but does she have enough time? Or is MCanning going to just go across the map and destroy?
This might be the right call from MCanning, but he still has to be careful. Whether it's 1 or 5 Disruptors, you always got to be careful. And he actually is blinked on top of Nina's army very aggressively. He wants to take advantage. Nina currently only at 1 Disruptor. Don't know where it is, but it's not here. It's not helping out. And MCanning making a very decisive move. Letting his 3rd base die is maybe going to kill Nina. I mean, her army actually is not even going to try and fight anymore. She's going to go for the base trade.
Wow, again, a base trade here. This time, though, strongly in favor of MCanning. 120 army supply to 75. Now, Nina does have a slightly better economy, 51 probes to 45, but I don't think that economic difference is going to be enough to really make any changes in this fight. I think MCanning simply has too much, and I think you're right when you said earlier, Zombie Grub, Nina might just be counting on MCanning not spotting that bottom base, and Nina might be counting that she can get away with having that secret base in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh, no Observer. Oh, this actually happened in the first game, too. The lack of Observer, a very big deal. It's going to force that recall back. I mean, it kind of also helps save his 4th base, I guess, but I'm pretty sure MCanning was hoping for a little bit more than just a Nexus for a Nexus. Also losing a Disruptor on the retreat. I mean, at the end of the day, while it's a Nexus for a Nexus in this fight, MCanning still took the better Disruptor trade 2 minutes ago, and that is still definitely in his favor. But Nina might have a little bit more time to try and bring it back. A couple cannons helping the defense. Nina tries to collect her army. She's got a couple DTs. She could maybe try and put the top of the Disruptors, actually. And a lot of Zealots. The Stalkers blink on top of the Disruptors. And actually, the 3rd shot there, a little bit better than the 2nd one. But does MCanning actually have enough without the Disruptors? I don't know if he has enough.
No. Oh, MCanning losing so many Disruptors there in that fight, and now we see Nina swinging back in favor of the army supply, and she's going to chase MCanning all the way down. MCanning taking a really inefficient 2nd fight there, defending his own 3rd base, and unfortunately, Nina is going to be able to prosper on the back of that fight that MCanning should not have taken. So now Nina slightly ahead economically, slightly ahead army supply-wise. The only difference is that, I was going to say there are more Disruptors out, but there are more Disruptors out now for Nina than for MCanning. Oh, what a rough way to end this series for MCanning, if indeed this is the end.
It's kind of looking that way. The amount of Zealots was kind of insane. You didn't really get the amazing shots. That's what's so weird about the Zealots, right? If they're through a choke, through a ramp, if they're just clumped up, running away, yeah, the Disruptors are great against them. But as soon as they get a nice arc, as of course the Disruptor shots get a little bit lower, they're then trying to hit the Zealots instead of the juicy Stalkers. And it really does change up the way the engagement goes down. And it went favorably for Nina, who also caught a couple of MCanning's Disruptors on that awkward retreat he made from the DTs. Gosh, without the DTs, I feel like MCanning's already in the production line, right? Killing all the technology, but Nina with the emergency DTs is even looking to do some more harassment.
MCanning still has not rebuilt this 4th base, by the way. Neither has Nina built hers, but that's still going to favor Nina just a little bit as the army supply already in her favor. Now, again, we see this really interesting choice from MCanning. Go for the +1 shields upgrade, which Nina has been avoiding the entire series. If there's not a big engagement here, Zombie Grub, can you talk a little more about why a Protoss player wants to go for that shield upgrade when there are no Archons on the field?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, could talk about that, or could talk about MCanning losing this game. I don't know. I mean, I think you could really argue that it's not worth it for MCanning to invest into the shields upgrades, even if it's a little bit cheaper than it was 7 years ago. It's never usually the determining factor. It's always about the disruptors. Very rarely do you go into just the Stalker wars, and it didn't even help the Stalkers up against all those charge lots in the 3 battles ago. I'm afraid this might just be it. MCanning's very good at PvP, but Nina is really proving her prowess. When she stops scan rushing, I suppose, in the Disruptor Stalker matchup, man. She is pretty good at this.
She is 102 army supply now to 65. MCanning also losing some econ on the back of this. The 3rd base looks like it's going to fall. Nina getting herself into a corner here, but of course she can always blink up into the main. Now, we've seen this fight once before this game, and MCanning was able to get a really nice disruptor shot to take down some of Nina's army. But this time, Nina has finally broken the 3rd base now. MCanning functionally on 0 mining bases. Nina now working on mining base number 2. And that's it. GG, Zombie Grub. Nina grabs a 3